Next up, John Parrish. Now listen, is 52 years old. Look at this guy. Like you see him. Holy cow. It's inspirational, man. John was recently earned 2 pro cards in natural bodybuilding, Professional Natural Bodybuilding Association, and Natural Amateur Bodybuilding Associations. You guys know him as Major Jax Briggs, or Jax in Mortal Kombat 2, MK3, and Trilogy, and 4, even Mortal Kombat Advanced. Please put your hands together for John Parrish! Person we have is the only Johnny Cage in my book. Master Daniel Pesina is a gold medal winner in international as well as U.S. Sanctioned martial arts tournaments. Gained his notoriety for his contribution to Mortal Kombat franchise. He gave life to Johnny Cage, father of all MK characters, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile, Smoke, Noob, Sabat. Please welcome Master Daniel Pesina! Good to have you guys here, man. This is exciting. This is the panel you want to be at this place right now. Now, I want us to start, you guys, with, of course, breaking in stories. We'll start from over here. How were you approached to be in Mortal Kombat?
Well, I kind of joke about it and say I slept my way to the top.
You slept your way to the top. You can move the mic closer to me.
I was actually Ryan's fiance at the time. And he had gotten called in to play Shao Kahn through John Parrish, and just stayed in the family. I got called in for Sindel, and I remember Tobias called and said that I got cast for that, which was awesome. And then that led to Serena and Tanya as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I was in medical school when I met and worked out with Hosang and Hoyoung.
Okay.
Before Liu Kang, they were part of the Ninja Turtle movies.
Oh, that's cool.
The original ones. So was Daniel, by the way. And when I came to the Chicagoland area for residency, I saw Hosang again, just by chance. And he told me about this video game that he had just developed. And he invited me to work out with him as well as Daniel and other guys that were part of the game. And so, soon after working out with them, Mortal Kombat became huge, and they wanted to make a sequel, and so Daniel introduced me to John Tobias and Ed Boon, and shortly after that, they asked me to please share songs. So I said, sure. That's it.
Did you graduate from medical school?
I think so. I've been practicing 22 years without a degree, if I didn't.
And also, I asked him if he wanted to be the ninjas or Shang Tsung.
Yes, Daniel always brings that up. And so I said, well, you were already the ninjas in Mortal Kombat 1, and they're all covered up. I don't want to be covered, so covered up for my character.
He likes to show his abs.
Can we see him right now?
Look at my fan side.
Girls, give her a round of applause. Come on.
Look at my fan side.
Oh, this
My story's a little different. I had no experience in martial arts or anything like that. I was actually sitting in the office. I was doing production work for Playboy, editing photos, and I got that job because I had modeled there. So I was sitting in the office editing photos, and we get a call, and there's this guy that wants a couple models for this game, MMA Jam. And I said, I'll take it. I talked to him, and I said, yeah, I can do cheerleading. I've never done any kind of cheerleading in my whole life. I was one of those girls that sat back and made fun of the cheerleaders. I sat there and painted in art room. Anyway, so he asked me to do this NBA Jam. I had no idea what I was doing. I showed up, brought a friend, and one game led to another, and pretty soon Mortal Kombat came around, and
brothers in the game. I know we play too. And then it was a good joke, and then the game took off, and then a couple weeks later he came back with a sketch of Jax. And I said, Dad, who's that? He said, oh, that's Jax, that can be you. Really? Yeah, if you want it. Do I get paid? Yeah, I'm in. Yeah. That's how I got into it.
Yours is interesting.
Yeah, I just wanted to add with Jax. One time we were working out at the gym, and Tony and I and his son were, I think, filming, and we were doing plyometrics, which is where you stand on something high and you jump down and jump back up. It's to develop quick twitch muscles. And this box was maybe like 2 feet. And John was like, he's like, why do it like that? He approached a box that was about 4.5 feet, and from a standstill, he jumped up there. And I was like, holy cow, he is really very, very athletic. So, again, he's very impressive. He's a little mild-mannered, but yeah, he's the real deal. Yeah, as for me, actually, John called my mom. John called my mom's house and said, hey, where's Daniel? My mom's like, he's out. I was a little older than that group. John, myself, my brother Carlos, Rich DeVizio, and the guy who drew the comic book. I don't know if you recall. In the old days, on the cabinet, you can write in and pay $3 and you get a comic book.
Right.
And that guy who helped draw the comic was Andy Kudelka. And anyway, we used to go to Andy's house every Sunday and play Dungeons and Dragons. Me, like I said, my brother John, and stuff like that.
Nerd part.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd.
That's good.
But I'll break you. Yeah. So I called John back, and John's like, hey man, I got an idea for a fighting game. I want to videotape you, Carlos and Rich, bring them in, and we'll videotape, and I'm going to present all my ideas to my boss. Later on, I found out his boss was Ed Moon, but at the time I didn't know that. So, we went in late one night, we recorded a bunch of us just jumping around, doing stuff, and later on, John called me up and he's like, man, Ed liked the idea, now you got to meet Ed. And so we met up with Ed, who was pretty quiet. The first days of Mortal Kombat, Ed really didn't say anything. He kind of just watched us interact. Again, it's kind of because we knew each other for such a long time and we're geeks. If you ever play Dungeons and Dragons, you're always ribbing somebody. The Dungeons Master's always going to kid you if you're arguing with your mate all the time. All of a sudden, you're friggin' going to be dead. And then all of a sudden, you start swearing and stuff like that. So that was always how it was whenever all of us would get together. So we were having some pizza and we were just making fun of each other and joking with each other, and Ed was kind of shy and he was just kind of listening to us. And there we talked about how we wanted Big Trouble in Little China in the game, and then John was like, oh, I want it to be like Enter the Dragon. And then, me being a smart ass, I was like, you got ninjas, but we're not going to have ninjas in the game. And again, when I took the phone call, I just meant it as, I can't pay you a lot of money. You got to do this kind of for free, which was basically how it started. So I was just goofing around saying like, guess what? If you have ninjas, they can't be Japanese ninjas. They have to be Chinese ninjas. And then John is like, Chinese ninjas? I never heard that. I never heard of that. And I was like, you got to go out and do the research then, because I'm not doing this game unless you buy this book and do the research on the Lin Kuei. And so we started off like that, and then John had to do this research, and the way I tortured him, kind of like this. But yeah, we discussed different things that we wanted in the game. A bunch of geeks sitting around having pizza. Yeah, it was pretty funny, actually. I guess you had to be there, but yeah, it was. If you imagine playing Dungeons and Dragons, but that over discussing Mortal Kombat, you envision it.
And your brother Carlos was Raiden, right?
Yeah, Carlos did Raiden, works for Another Round presently.
Still, yeah.
So he's the only one that worked from the conception all the way to the present. I know they give Ed deserves a lot of credit, but he wasn't there for the real beginning.
Right on. And so, what was that to digitize you guys? What was that process like for you guys? Anyone who wants to answer?
Yeah, I mean, just from what I can recall is, being on that green screen, and I always think back to the one time when I was running on a treadmill. It was a woodway treadmill, and there were no sides. It was just simply like an on button and an off button. And Sal, actually at the time, he's not here with us today, but he was there, and literally hit the button, and I'm running for the first time on this treadmill. There's nothing